Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Lean on us.
We are here for you.
You matter.
You are not alone.
Are you feeling overwhelmed? Not sure where to turn? The National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there for you 24/7. Call or text 988 or chat at 988sc.org. Whether you're having an emergency or you know someone who needs support now, they can help you take the next step towards finding hope and healing.
There is hope. 988sc.org.
Hi, this is Lori Johnson with Hancock Whitney Bank, and you're listening to Local Leaders, the podcast. Visit localleadersthepodcast.com for previous episodes or for information on appearing on the show.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Local Leaders, the podcast. I'm Jim Chapman, and I have a guest across from me. And look, y'all know how much I love to feature long-standing businesses. We love all businesses around here, and whether you're just opening or you've been around a long time, we love it. But we really learn a lot from these long-standing business owners in our community. And today, the guy with the best haircut on the other side of the room, I would like to introduce Mr. Brandon Barton with K to Z Window Coverings. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm excited. We're going to talk all about your business, which is, y'all, if you ain't been paying attention, the window covering business has really exploded. I like to say people are finally getting some taste in this world, right? There was a time, you didn't, whatever you put, you might have a sheet up there across from your dining room that was hiding the sun, but these days it seems like people have really learned there's a skill and an art form to what you do.
There is.
You've been around a long time, 26 years.
26 long years.
Long years, long but beautiful.
Great.
Yes.
That's 100%. I can't say enough. That's just our clients, man. That's what's been keeping us going.
Yeah. And do you look back, Brandon, and ever be like, wow, I was hoping I'd make it through 5, and here I am 26 years later.
I can tell you personally, yes, to be doing it this long, and how we got started with family. My grandparents would have never expected we are where we are today.
Yeah. And so let's talk about that for a second. You weren't always a window covering guy. You were a fireman at one point. You were basically running towards things that I run away from. So that tells me you got a lot of heart. But you had some family experience in this business prior to you getting in the business. So it's in the blood a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your grandparents and how they had influenced it.
So started with my grandmother. She made drapery back. That's kind of a lost art these days. These young ladies don't really sew anymore. So back in those days, she made all my mother's dresses, a lot of clothes for her and the boys, and then taught that to my mom. But she was a great seamstress. But she was a secretary she was original secretary for the Junior League of Baton Rouge.
Oh, wow.
She worked there 30 some odd years.
Yeah.
And so being in that circle with those type of ladies, she had access to people who wanted custom drapery at that point.
Yeah.
So she made a lot of drapery for those ladies and just people from church and whatnot. So that's kind of how we got started in this business. She had a gift shop at one time too. But her drapery was her main thing that she really enjoyed doing.
Very good. Very good. And you kind of grew up around that. And as we just mentioned, you were a fireman. And at some point you were just like, man, I want to be an entrepreneur. And in talking to you and pre-meeting with you and just conversating with you, one thing I picked up real quick was you had that entrepreneurial spirit, which we love around here. It is invaluable, to anybody who has their own business. So you had to make a leap at some point there, around 1997, you made a decision, and that was to do this. Kind of take me through that.
Well, from a very young age, I've always had that it factor, I guess is what you would call it.
Yeah.
I've always been able to talk to people, as you're going to know through this podcast. I mean, like you just mentioned, you and I are probably going to talk a lot, but I love people. I love talking with people. I love meeting new people. But from a very young age, even, going back to early childhood, in my first experience was in Winburn Baptist Church.
Yeah.
And so we had this fundraiser to send us all to camp.
Yeah.
And I actually sold enough or raised enough money to pay for myself and 4 other people.
Yeah.
So from a very young age, I've always been able to talk to people and always liked sales, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then going through forward, odd jobs back in the day, cutting grass, doing different things. I've always did that on my own.
Right.
And back when computers started coming into play, I made my own flyers. I went and walked the neighborhoods. So I've always kind of been that person.
Yeah.
And then so fast forward to when we started this company, my grandparents, I came back from college, was kind of searching for something to do. And I was a fireman at the time. So at least I had that job.
Yeah.
But we were sitting around a table, and when I'd get off on my 24-hour shift, I'd go by their house, go drink coffee, and she just mentioned, "Hey, I'm just I'm gonna let I'm fixing to renew. Come to town to renew everything for the company. She's gonna give it up." So at that point, I said, "Hey, what do you think about me going down there and switching everything into my name and me having a go at it?"
Yeah.
She said, "Knock yourself out." So I went that day.
Wow.
Switched everything over into my name, and the fireman thing didn't quite work out.
Yeah.
But I came home one day after I came home for one of my shifts, and I told my mother, I said, "Well, I'm getting in the window treatment business full time."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh my God, Brandon, everybody sells blinds."
Yeah.
I can remember it like it was yesterday, and I said, "Well, I'm going to be another one."
Yeah.
And here we are, 26 years later.
Ain't that something? Yeah. And look, I can obviously speak from experience on this as well, but those first few years of any business, it can be a struggle. There's a lot of learning that we do along the way. And so that's why it is critical when you're dealing with any business, but I would say especially the window covering business, that you deal with experienced folks, people that have really been through everything when it comes to that business. And you are one of those guys. I mean,
Right.
You look at stats of businesses that last, there are a lot of factors that go into that. They say, it drops 80% from year 1 to year 2 in the length of time businesses survive. And then if you get to year 5, you're one of 10% of businesses. If you get to year 20, I mean, it's 3%, 2%. So there's so much that plays in from the customer satisfaction standpoint to just raw experience and knowing what you're doing and for lack of a better term, not aggravating a bunch of people, making them happy, going the extra mile. That's what that tells me when I see 26 years there. Mm-hmm. You have done the right things and made the right moves when you had to. I do want to mention to everybody, you may say, where are y'all located? Well, they're located right there on Highway 16 in Watson. So if you're in the Denham Springs, Louisiana area, they work by appointment. They appreciate that. If you need to stop by to get a phone number or something, of course, there's likely going to be somebody there that can help you. But they have some professionals on staff that really want to sit down with you and go over what you're looking for, I would imagine. And,
Yes.
And all of those sorts of things. And that way they can give you the best service possible. So we do want to mention that. Now let's talk about the nature of your business. You do window coverings, and from a guy that came kind of from the construction industry and especially the decorative side of it, being in the paint business, that's one thing I totally understand is the way trends change over time. One thing interesting about you is you've probably seen it all from wood blinds to vinyl blinds to retractable, patio screens, you name it. Right. You've seen it, and you've got to keep up with it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's just from back in the day, we went from huge, gaudy drapery, big top treatments, large panels, bright colors.
Yeah.
Back when I first started, everybody wanted their window treatments to pop.
Yes.
And now it's more of they want it to be there but not be there.
Yeah.
So now it's more of a neutral tones and more subtle tones. We were talking earlier about when you walk into the house, you set the mood.
Yeah.
So you walk into a house that was built that we did maybe in the 90s, and they have burnt orange or bright red or something like that for their drapery. And now it's more of a, tone on tone.
Yeah.
Or neutral light colors. So yeah, it's a lot has changed in 26 years, just trends and colors and here in the last few years with COVID.
Yeah.
When everybody was stuck at home, they started, instead of spending money to go out and travel or do other things, they started spending money in their home.
Yeah.
And they started staying there more. So then these exterior, like what you just mentioned a minute ago, the exterior screens, those things exploded.
Yes.
They've been on the market for several years.
Yeah.
But those just exploded because now people were sat on their back patio more and started using it. So that is a huge thing that's popped up in the last few years.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it all plays in. One thing that I noticed just in my former world was I would notice people ordering colors that were, grays, for example. Like one day a guy came in and got gray, and I'm like, gray, and made his gray. And then I noticed the next day a lady came in, and all of a sudden you're getting 20 people a day getting this no gray kind of color. And the next thing you know, gray is the most popular color on the face of the earth, and everybody's painting everything gray and all of that. So I totally get it. And sometimes it's completely out of the blue. You just notice more orders, right?
Right.
Whatever that product is. But that's another reason that it's important to have, someone with the experience that K to Z Window Coverings has, is they know what those trends are. I would imagine probably one of your most popular questions is what's popular? What are people doing?
100%.
Is there something that stands out right now other than anything else in your business as far as bulk orders and a lot of people getting it, that type of thing?
Well, as far as our custom window treatments go, our number one product has always been plantation shutters.
Yeah.
Wood and vinyl shutters. So it's just a timeless shutter. A timeless window treatment. It never goes out of style. It's the most functional. And like I tell everybody, it is your most versatile window treatment that you'll ever put in your home.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's great for insulation. It's great for resale value. It's great for looks. You don't have to put anything else with it. It's very easy to clean and maintain. There's no parts to break on it. It's the greatest versatile window treatment you can ever put in your house.
100%. And you just bring up a good point. And one thing I want everybody to grasp when you're listening to this particular podcast is it's not just drapes. So sometimes when people think of window coverings, maybe in their mind, they're thinking, oh, this is a drape guy. If I need drapes, this is who I call. Let's break down your services real quick. So obviously you do drapes,
right?
All shapes, sizes. If they need to cover a crazy looking window, you've got the drape to make it happen.
Well, that's where we come in. I just met with somebody yesterday. He had a certain size window, and he's like, "Look, I was going to go to one of the big box stores, but then, I said, well, you have this size window, you're not going to get it at the box store."
Yeah.
He said, exactly. That's why I called you.
It's custom.
Okay, so that's one aspect of it. But for everything that we do, we sell. For our interior department, we sell blinds, shades, and shades is a broad term, so you can do Roman shades, honeycomb shades, woven matchstick grass cloth shades, cellular shades, different. So blinds, shades, plantation shutters, and drapery.
Yeah. And when you say shades, that's you actually pull it down? Is that?
Yes. So you have, just within that product line, you have remote control, you have cordless, you have corded. I mean, there's and that's in multiple product lines. So that's whenever you're dealing with someone like us in a company like mine, we are the experts when we come in, and we're not just there to sell you something. We're there to actually help you solve an issue.
Love that. You're a problem solver.
Exactly.
They've got a problem. You're going to solve it. You're not selling them anything. You're solving the problem. And in the process, you make a sale.
That's right.
And
we solve a problem and we make things look pretty.
That's right. That's exactly right. And look, wow, you said remote control shades. In my mind, I'm thinking, I need that. Because I would be the person to break it there real quick because I'd hit it. I'd be doing that all day.
That's right.
My friends would come over. I'd be like, watch this. There it goes.
It's really
that'd
a cool
be me.
factor. The guys love
Absolutely.
that.
Well, and I'll tell you what issue I have. So I have a dining room and I have drapes in there. Whether these drapes are opened or closed, that sun just basically drops right on that window. That window probably, or that space, that dining room probably raises 20 degrees in the evening.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Which is no fun in the summer. The problem is that's where when I get home, of course, everybody knows I'm a workaholic. So when I get home, what I do, I flip open my computer and I'm sitting there right by that window. That window's behind me, and it's almost uncomfortable. Like the sun can still kind of peek through, so it's hitting that computer screen. I can't see. That's what I need. I need one of those shades. And will it block everything out if I want it to?
So in that particular instance, I would ask you a couple of questions. What is your main concern? Is it the heat or is it the glare?
Yeah.
So if it's the glare and some part of the heat, then we would suggest maybe a solar screen shade like you would see in a restaurant or you would see at a hospital or a bank or somewhere like that. But we also have commercial ones and we also have ones that look more residential.
Yeah.
So then you drop that shade down and you're going to take some of your heat out, but you're going to take that glare out of that room also.
Yeah, the glare is the worst part.
Exactly.
I don't like the heat that much either. but the glare is the part that stops me from working.
That's the biggest thing for that. So another biggest thing is that, you drop that shade down, but you also still have a little bit of view. So while you're sitting there working, you probably have some sort of view that you like to see out that window.
Yeah.
So it takes care of three things for you. It keeps your view, it cuts down on the heat, and it also cuts down on the glare. So that's just one product.
See, he's almost sold me already, y'all. I'm thinking, ooh, I can sit there with that remote control and just not have to worry about any of that no more. So that's the amazing thing. Technology has really come a long way with what you do, and we're going to get into some of the interesting technological advances in your field. Now, you had mentioned shutters, a big deal, always a big deal, been in style since the beginning of time,
right.
and big part of your business, you'd say?
That's always been a huge part of our business. That's, if I had to say, out of one of our custom lines, it would be the plantation shutters.
Yeah, very good, very good. Now let's talk patio screens. Here's something that I can tell you, and obviously being in the business, you know this frontwards and backwards, but I have seen a huge jump in the amount of outdoor spaces that, look, if they had an air conditioner sitting there and four walls, they would be like rooms in a house. These things are so tricked out and beautiful now. They've got everything from TVs out there to the patio furniture that's real nice, and some people have fireplaces sitting, right there in the middle. Just major trending in the last 10 years. And of course, we're in South Louisiana.
Yeah.
Football, crawfish boils, all those things. So you're in a great place. Yeah. For outdoor entertainment, right?
Well, we live outside. I mean,
yes.
Most of us love to be outside. And here in South Louisiana and the South in general, most everything revolves around eating and drinking, or whatever, just entertaining in general.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of that takes place outside. So it's funny you said that about air conditioning, nice space, whatever. Well, that is one of these trends that you're seeing more and more happening these days. Is I get this question from builders: hey, do you have a screen that's going to keep the air conditioning in? Because now they are actually putting air conditioning on these back patios.
Oh, my. Y'all hear that?
So, yes. And to answer that question is absolutely. We
Wow.
do. So that is becoming a huge trend here lately, and we're taking care of that a lot with air conditioning out the back patios, because you have your fireplace, you have your heaters, but let's be honest, South Louisiana, we have maybe one month, maybe 6 weeks worth of cold weather.
Oh, yeah.
And the rest of the time we're just blazing hot.
Period. And that's why these patio screens are so phenomenally great and useful. Is one of the things that would keep me from going out on a patio is the heat. It's ridiculous here in July and August. A lot of that because you have no shade. Look, at my house, I have a exterior patio cover that's goes probably the length of my house in the backyard, and it's nice to go out there and barbecue. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, there's no real shade, so it get pretty hot back there, and I would love to redo that where I had a TV up in the corner and I had make it really nice out there. But the patio screen, especially a retractable one, would be something that would be almost a must. I mean, exactly. Have to have that. And it's nice because it's retractable. You don't have to. I've seen some where they put just these screens out there and they're maybe screwed into post or something like that, and they're permanent.
Right.
When you can retract them, that to me is the key. That's a big deal. Not that there's anything wrong with the permanents, but you can't, it limits your ability to walk.
Exactly.
Because it's always there, so you can't cut through certain areas of that back.
Well,
patio.
we can do both of those options, and sometimes we do combine them. So we have the ability to do fixed aluminum screen rooms.
Yeah.
But and so now we usually do both. So down the side, say they may want to have fixed screens, and on the back side they want to be able to open it up. Or like I usually tell people, the greatest thing about motorized screens is like when you want a screen room, you can have it. When you don't, then you don't have to have it.
Exactly.
That's
right.
the beauty of it.
Yes.
But you were mentioning a minute ago about sun, and that's another thing when we come in. So the first question I ask is, when you have smartphones these days. So the first thing I do is I pull up my compass on my smartphone and figure out where I'm at. Yeah. And then automatically I know whether they're going to need a bug screen, because we can do regular bugs or we can do sun and bug.
Yep.
So if you have an area where your barbecue area is and that's the west facing part of your house, then you're going to want the sun and bug, because when you drop that down, it's going to cut out that heat.
Yeah.
For you, and you also get the beauty of having a sealed area to where you can keep it down. And the biggest thing with these screens is not only just the sun, but it's our state bird, the mosquito.
Yeah.
So, the mosquitoes are just horrible out here. That's another thing that keeps us off the back patio is when the sun goes down, all of a sudden all the bugs come out and you can't use it. Yes. So that's the greatest thing also about this product line.
That's a great point. You're right. I mean, even if the temperature is nice, you're still going to have the bugs out there, and the mosquitoes are just horrible when the sun goes down. And yet another advantage to having, your a screened-in patio and the retractable version of that, to me, is just money in the bank for anybody that does any sort of entertaining in the back area of their house, which. Look, I know a lot of people, and every one of them does that. So y'all call me. I got the hookup.
That's right. One other thing that I did want to bring up with that, we keep talking about the motorized screens, and those are great. But we also offer a manual option as well. Okay.
Very good.
So if you just have an area, and we do this a lot where we only cover one or two parts of a back patio. Say you have a long, huge back patio, but you only sit on one section. So we do have an option to where it's a little bit less expensive than your remote control option. So it gives you, another avenue.
Yeah.
And if all you wanted was just to block the sun, then we can do that as well.
Yeah.
So there's multiple different ways of doing this. It's not just remote control. It's not all the super high-end stuff. But we also have multiple options on anything that we sell.
Yeah. And, what I like about your conversation and what you're saying is, people, I don't want anybody to think or believe that there's not an option out there available for you because maybe you feel like if it's retractable, you're priced out of it.
Correct.
There are other options. And, K to Z wants to work with you on that. They want to sit down, talk to you. Maybe you don't need a retractable. Maybe all you need, I'm sure Brandon's going to sit down with you and he's going to talk to you. And through that conversation, he'll be able to assist you with, what his opinion of what you would need would be. Maybe if you're unsure, or you might be like me and be like, no, I want the remote control. And he'll be like, I can help you out with that, Jim. 100%. So there's no worries there. And again, speaks to that experience you have. Now, you're also a member of a few organizations that I want to bring up. One of those being the Home Builders Association of Greater Baton Rouge, as well as the Acadian version of that, the Home Builders Association there. So obviously you're willing to work with home builders, right?
Absolutely. We've been working with home builders since the late 90s.
Yeah.
And that's come a long way. But I have poured myself into those organizations for the last several years. As an associate, you have the builders and you have the associates, all a part of this. And the associates would be people like myself. Yep. And obviously the home builders are the home builders. So as an associate, I have sat on every committee in both of these organizations, in the Home Builders of Greater Baton Rouge, and I've chaired just about every committee that a associate can chair.
Yeah.
And all the way to the highest level. And then moving on to the state level, I've gone all the way up and chaired the committees and also was the associate vice president of the state as well as the locals.
Yeah.
So we have been working with home builders for many, many years.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we try to separate ourselves away from most people. We try to work with the home builders to get in on the front end, and then because the one thing is a lot of people forget about their window treatments when they're building a new home.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the last thing that you do. We are the last people that really needs to be in there.
Right.
So that's kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
So to work with the home builders on the front end to move you through the process, you were talking about our office. The one good thing about you can make an appointment, come in the office, bring your house plans in, and we can start working from your plans. It doesn't have to be when the house is built.
Yeah.
So we try to get on the front end and start budgeting for you.
That's huge. Yeah, that's huge. And one thing you'll notice, and of course, the people watching this podcast right now on YouTube, are probably seeing some pictures pop up, and that's patio screens and stuff like that. Brandon's going to send me some pictures. So if you're listening to this, let's say you're on Apple Podcast or something like that listening, don't forget to check out the YouTube version because that's where you're going to see some of the things we're talking about, the shutters, the drapes, the patio screens. We're going to do nice little visuals for you as we go along. So make sure, listen to it twice. Why not? What could be better? So obviously in your business, being as long established as you've been, it comes with some lessons in how you got there. What was your key to kind of success? And when people ask me that, Jim, what's your key? There's many it's almost hard to hammer it down to one thing, but you and I were talking off air and you were discussing discipline and the importance of that in your 26 years.
Yeah. You asked me what would be one thing that I would say that was, attributed to the success of the company, and it would be discipline, I guess, if I had to pick one word. Yeah. And almost to a fault because, just like any self-employed person, I can remember being on vacations and my kids would be like, Dad, you're on the phone. We're on vacation. I'm like, well, how do you think we are able to be here?
Yeah.
Things
I've
like
had that conversation.
So, and then I've had people along the way, all my 26 years, Brandon, man, you work nonstop. Well, I had somebody tell me this a long time ago. If you do just a little bit more than what anybody else is willing to do, that's why we've been here so long.
That's right.
And then also.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Recently, our client Tommy met his banker to discuss continuing his father's restaurant legacy. In us, he found a partner that understood the importance of passing the torch. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/Tommy.
I do have a passion for what I do. Obviously, I love what I do, or I wouldn't be doing it as long as I've been doing it.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
And I get to meet all sorts of cool people. You never know whose house you're going to walk into.
Yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine. And you know, that's a daily occurrence
Every day.
with you. And so the monotony is not what you think. You know, every day you're meeting different people, you're seeing different homes, and you know, you see a product. What I really like about your business is you're taking something and you're improving it. So you're seeing the fruits of your efforts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can stand back after everything is done and go, wow, this really made a difference.
Yeah. And just, I would imagine it's amazing just what blinds will do, or a nice drape will do for a space.
Well, you know, I would like to say, you know, the ladies just, I mean, and some men too, but, you know, it's mostly we deal with are ladies.
Sure.
And after we're said and done, I mean, just to see the smile and just you know, they just really enjoy what they've chosen.
Yeah.
You know, and you get to see the finished product. A lot of people along the way that, you know, they don't really get to see the finished product. Well,
right.
we do.
Yeah. Yeah, very good point. And so do y'all work with designers and things like that, interior decorators?
We do.
Yeah.
A lot of designers and decorators. So in our industry, just in my specific little niche, there are multiple different books that we have to purchase, multiple different products. Each line has several different things. So a lot of designers and decorators don't want to make that investment. So they will work with us to come in and partner with those guys and ladies.
Yes.
So we'll come in and we'll bring all our samples in, and we'll meet with the designer, and then the designer helps the client pick their stuff out. We'll also assist in the process, and everything will go through us. We handle from measuring to showing the product, and then finally come in and do the install.
Yeah, and measuring a huge thing, and I want to talk about do-it-yourselfers real quick, and look, we're all do-it-yourselfers to some extent. I've fixed I've ruined my vehicle a few times going on YouTube trying to figure out what's wrong, why is it, and you do it yourself, then you end up bringing it somewhere and they do it right. But very important to hammer down the misconception that I think in this industry is, and that is people will go to a big box. You know, we got nothing against big boxes, but we sort of do in some cases, but they go to big boxes and they will buy something, and you know, there's a lot going into the process of, especially with drapes, measurements are everything. If you're off a millimeter, you're off a mile in some cases, I would imagine. So that's one reason you need a professional. But the other important thing is the expense is not what you would think as far as a difference. People may have the misconception that, you know, you're going through an individual person rather than a big box. And so they're going to mark up everything. They're going to mark up the cost of this. They're going to mark up the cost of that. Not true. That is a fallacy. And I guarantee you that, and we'll use K to Z, and this is me talking now. Him and I ain't had this conversation, but we'll use K to Z as an example. I guarantee you Brandon can compete with anybody in the business. He's got services, they've got services, and he's going to show you his version of that and his cost on that. And I promise you're not going to feel like he's, you know, trying to make $1 million off of you or anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Very important to push that down, I think.
It is. So, you know, if you were to go, and the biggest, well, you were speaking about measurements a minute ago. Mm-hmm. The thing about it is that if I had $1 for every time somebody's told me, man, you know, I went online and I measured, and then all of a sudden I got my blinds in and they were all wrong. Well, I can tell you exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Because I hear this all the time. It's like, oh, you can measure that one window right there, and they're all the same. They're never the same.
Yeah.
So what happens with a lot of people, they measure one window, they order 10 the same size, and then all of a sudden they don't fit.
Yeah.
Okay? And then another thing is, if you're comparing us to, like you said, there's nothing, we all love the box stores because we all shop there. Obviously we need something. When it comes to our product, you're dealing with 3 different people. You're dealing with the one person in the store that sets the appointment that really doesn't know anything they're talking about. Then you go into the contractor that comes in to measure, and then you come into a second contractor that comes in to install.
Yeah.
And nobody, if anything goes wrong, it's never anybody else's fault.
Yeah.
So when you deal with a company like mine, you deal with everything in-house.
Yeah.
I come, or one of my team comes to meet with you. We have 2 ladies in the office that can take care of any phone call, anything. Anytime you want to update, we can give it to you. And then I have in-house installers, which my brother actually heads my install team.
Yeah.
So this is a family business, and we run it like all of my team. Family is a big thing for all of our team.
Yeah, it's huge.
Okay. So we are a family business. So everything is done in-house.
Right.
So there's no blame game on anything. If we do something wrong, we own up to it because we're not perfect.
Yeah.
We're never going to be perfect, but we strive to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And you, I'm sure, go way out of your way to make sure someone's happy. And we'll get into your reviews in a little while and the proof of that, in my opinion, in just a little while. But one thing I like about it, Brandon, too, is if something happens at a big box and I have an issue, they'll return it, whatever, and that's about it. Right. If I'm dealing with K to Z, I've got, some people use it as a term, I've got a neck to shake, but there's someone there that I can actually conversate with that is going to try to make it right, other than, a corporation that is, hey, what do you want? We're going to give you your money back. What do you want? They're not going to try to fix the problem. They're just going to essentially try to make you happy on a monetary end. And that is a difference. That's a big difference to me. That's, to me, a separator between family and businesses and corporations.
We try to give you that personal service. I mean,
yes.
My ladies in my office, I've had my office managers been with me. This is going on 6 years, and I can't tell you how many times that I have people just rave about, her. And it all starts with the person who answers the phone.
Yeah.
And so they rave about her, and then they have me or one of my team, and then they have my install crew. My install crew gets tips all the time.
Yeah.
So that tells me that they're doing a great job.
That's right.
And so it's throughout the whole process. So we try to do as much as we can do to outservice anybody else that competes with us.
Yeah. Yeah. Give them above their expectation even. And
100%.
And that's a big deal. And let's talk about that for a minute. So, look, y'all, in the business that Brandon's in, any kind of construction business, and again, I can speak from that experience. It is hard. Well, it's hard in any business to make everyone happy, right? It's a difficult thing. So, reviews, Google reviews, especially nowadays, that is a deal. I mean, that everybody reads them. Everybody, puts them in after they've had an experience, or a lot of people. And used to be a time I was not a big believer in Google reviews. And I thought, nobody's going to take the time to, I didn't know jack squat, as they say, because now that can make or break your business. I invite you to go check out K to Z's reviews on Google. I think you'd be shocked at the positive reviews. Let's talk about the importance of that real quick.
It's huge. I mean, if I had another thing that everybody, I'll say everybody, but a lot of people do say, hey, and I always ask them, hey, how did you hear about us?
Yeah.
Basically, why did you call me?
Yes.
And most of them will say, it's because you had good reviews. Yeah. And I know you have a couple on there, and I keep a couple of I have a couple of bad ones on there, but a lot of people are going to be like that. But I keep them up, and I say I keep them up because you can't remove them.
Right.
But I like to have those up there because it makes you look like a real company.
Yeah.
Because we're not perfect, and we never will be.
Yeah.
But it's how you handle those situations. So things are going to come up, and then we're going to make it right. Whatever we have to do to make it right.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of good reviews on there, and that's the number one thing that people do say, besides my office staff, because that's the other thing that they have a big rave about, is is Google reviews.
Yeah.
Obviously, and a little shameless plug, but please, if you have done work with us in the past, we try very hard to get everybody to give us a Google review.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always happen, but we would love for anybody to go to our site and please give us a review. Good, bad, or indifferent. I take all of them because I like all of the feedback because that only helps us get better.
That's right. That's exactly right. You can't fix what you don't know about. And fortunately, let me tell you, I've looked over your reviews, and you should be very proud. That's hard to achieve when you're in a business where it is especially so visual like yours is. It's very measurement specific and so easy for mistakes to happen, and yet even when those mistakes may happen, you obviously make it right and fix the problem. And so shout out to you on that. And Brandon brings up a good point. Most people, if somebody has a bad experience, they're going to tell 100 of their friends. If they have a good experience, they don't tell anybody. And it's like, I used to tell people that all the time. You have no idea how important those reviews are to business owners and podcasters alike.
Well, especially small business. I mean, even more so for small business.
Yes.
Because we are competing with the larger guys. And so the reviews are 100% important for a small business owner for any business.
Yeah. Agreed. Now, you had mentioned in there that your service all starts with that first initial call and the staff that answers that phone. And how important is it, your employees? How important is that to your business?
Oh, it's the lifeblood of our company.
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't do it without our employees.
Yeah.
I mean, I can only do so much, and I'm not for everybody, so it could be the whole experience. So it all starts with that first initial phone call. And my staff is knowledgeable enough to be able to talk to whoever calls in and give them some of the information up front to get the conversation started. And then it moves on to the sales team, the decorating team, to go in and finish it off. And then it all ends with our install team.
Yeah.
And when we have meetings, I stress on the front end that the ladies in the office, it all starts with them, then all the way down to the installer.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the ladies in the office did on the front end. It doesn't matter how they loved me in the middle. And then if my guys on the back end, if something were to go wrong on the back end, that's the last thing that happens, and that's the last thing that they're going to remember.
That's right.
So good, bad, or indifferent, those guys have to be on point.
That is a great point. And, it's the very first impression is that first call, right?
Absolutely.
So you can't ever get beyond that. I'm talked to a lot of the leaders in this parish politically, and from the mayor to whoever. And one of the things that they say is the interstate getting off at Denham Springs. It's very important that always stays clean, litter free, and all that, because in their mind, that's our handshake. Mm-hmm. That is welcome to Denham Springs. Well, if the first thing you see is milk cartons in the middle of the off ramp, that's an issue.
Absolutely.
Because people are going to assume this is a dump city, right? And it may be a great city, but that's the handshake. Your first contact with that customer is that employee answering the phone. That's the hello. We're K to Z. We're ready to help you.
Absolutely.
So you've obviously done a phenomenal job there with your employees and all of that. Let's talk about leadership real quick. Obviously, being local leaders, leadership plays a role. You being a business owner, you're a leader. You're someone that is on the forefront of your business, and you have to lead a team. What would your definition of a leader be?
Well, just in my company, like I said, a good leader to me would be someone that takes, I wouldn't say ownership. That's the first thing that came to mind, but takes a real interest in the people that work with you. Mm-hmm. All right. So if you treat them like family and you treat them.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? you can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Good and give them a great experience of working with us, then it gives them a little bit more of an ownership with the company, and then it just blossoms throughout the whole company. So we treat everybody the way that we want to be treated.
Absolutely, and taking ownership from an employee standpoint is, I would almost say, invaluable beyond description to a business owner like you. Mm-hmm. Because when that employee takes ownership, it is a true sign that they care. It Absolutely. Matters to them. And once you get that role from an employer standpoint, everybody's on the same page. Everybody's firing on all cylinders, and things can just get done. They can get done right. Communication, open communication is a big key for me in business. And we said it, as far as reviews, you don't know if there's a problem until you know there's a problem. Well, it's the same thing with employees.
Absolutely.
Maybe their hours are not structured to where, maybe something happened in their life where if you don't say anything, you can't fix it.
Absolutely.
And so communication also a huge key. Now, we talked about also, things that people may not understand about your business. And one of those obviously is that you can compete with anybody. Just because you're a small business and this might be a corporation where you can buy shares of stock on Wall Street for, has no bearing on the fact of whether you compete. True or false?
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
We compete with anybody out there, from online all the way down to box store to other competitors like custom companies like ourselves.
Yeah.
So
you're here to play.
We are. We basically have a product for anybody's budget.
Yeah.
But we do. I mean, we talked about this earlier. A lot of people won't call us because they automatically assume that we're going to be more expensive than anybody else.
Yeah.
But it's just, and I used this off air. I used this analogy earlier. It's just like buying a vehicle.
Yeah.
If you're looking to buy XYZ product,
mm-hmm.
and you visit 4 dealerships of that same product line,
yeah.
it's all going to be the same exact cost as far as the sticker.
Yeah.
It just depends on what options you want on it.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody pretty much out there, we can compete with any other company. So that's the greatest thing about us. But where we set ourselves apart from everybody else is we like to out-service anybody.
Yes. And probably big key to your success over 26 years' time is that service. Just the willingness to go above and beyond, right?
Well, that and just continue to push forward.
Yeah. Be stubborn, as they say.
If you ask my wife, I'm
I know the
stubborn.
feeling. Yeah, I get told that quite often. No doubt about it. Now, let me ask you this question. If I'm, hopefully there's 1 million people right now listening to this, and they're all saying, we need retractable blinds, or we need non-retractable blinds, or whatever they want. How would that process start? Just with a phone call? And I do want to mention they do free consultations. So for this genius in the window covering world to come to your house and talk to you for an hour about what he feels like would benefit you the most and what you're looking to get would cost you nothing. So
that's right.
How would they start that process?
So it depends on where you're at. If you're just in the discovery phase, then you can go on the web. You can visit our website. The website's www.k2z, that's KTOZ, blinds, BLINDS.com. And so you can either Google us and you can go straight to our site from there. Or if you're ready to have that consultation, then you can call our office at 225-791-1220.
Very good. And you can speak to those awesome employees
Absolutely.
and leave them a Google review after, because you're going to love what they have to say and all of that. Now, we also want to mention free installs on your stuff. So you get whatever it is you get from, whether it's shutters, whether it's blinds, whether it's drapes, whatever, y'all install those completely free of charge.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's a big deal, y'all. That's a big deal. I mean, sometimes when you get automotive, you got to pay for the parts and the labor, right?
That's
so
correct.
You're pretty much getting the labor for free. You're paying for the product, and after 26 years of time, I can guarantee you. Let's talk about that real quick, though. With regard to products, you use some pretty high, well-known vendors, I guess, for your drapes and all those sorts of things.
So a lot of people, I mean, if you told you product lines, they probably wouldn't realize some of the product lines. But we do handle all the major window treatment companies.
Yeah.
Out there. So I hate to start going into specific companies.
No, that's okay.
There's so many of them. But what I like to do is, over my time of doing this, we don't sell the super high-end lines, but we don't sell the super low-end lines either. What I like to do is pick a good middle of line. We also we can sell the higher-end lines, and we can sell the least expensive lines.
Yeah.
But most of our clients like a good middle of the row product. I wouldn't say middle grade, middle of the row as far as pricing goes. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can get some great products for that, for a good budget.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, we didn't speak about this off air, but I do like to throw this out for most people.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people want to know, the first thing is how much is this going to cost me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you're building a project, if you're building a new house, or if you're remodeling, the national standard average of a budget, if you're looking to try to figure out how much you need to spend, is 1% to 3% of the value of your home.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah.
All right. So take the value of your house, multiply it times 1% to 3%, and that's going to be your average, about what you would spend. And most people, if I had to say, would fall between 1.5% and 2%.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. So there's a free tip for you. And I had never heard that. I didn't know there was some math to that. So there's what 26 years of experience gives y'all. He can figure it out on the calculator. And you bring up another good point, and that was budget. It's important for someone to have some sort of idea in mind what they're willing to spend. It's kind of like when you buy your house. You get with a realtor, you go look for a house. There's probably a million houses you'd love to live in, but what can you afford? What is your budget, or what is the most you want to spend? Same thing with what you do. Probably the same thing in any service industry is. Have an idea and share that with the people that you're dealing with, because without, knowing what your budget is, it's hard to quote you what you can afford, right?
Well,
or what you want to afford.
Absolutely. You bring up an excellent point, because that's one of the questions that when we do, that's the whole reason of the consult.
Mm.
All right. So the first question I usually ask when I go in is, do you have a budget in mind?
Yeah.
And you can imagine the answer I get 99% of the time. Okay.
I can imagine.
Well, you just show me what you have and tell me how much it costs.
The second I tell you what I want to pay, you're going to hit me at $1 less.
Well, that's exactly. And a lot of people think, that's the stigma of salespeople, quote unquote,
Yeah.
And we try not to be, quote unquote, salespeople.
Right.
That's where we try to set ourselves apart.
Right.
So when I do ask that question, it's time saving for everybody.
Yeah.
Because most people, when they're looking at something, they look at three things. By the time they get to the third thing, they're done.
Yeah.
They don't want to look at anything else, or they might look at something else, but their mind is shut off.
Sure.
So it's really to help you save time for you and us also, and we can nail down exactly what you product line. Say you give me XYZ number.
Yeah.
I know exactly what to show you then.
Right.
Okay. And then within that number, we can do a product mix and to get you what you want. But we're not trying to run it up right to your number.
Right.
Because that's what a lot of people think. Well, if I tell you I'm going to spend $1,000, then we're going to run it right up to $1,000.
Yeah.
But if I go in and somebody wants to buy a whole house of drapery and they have $1,000 budget, I'm going to be honest with them and say, you're not even going to do, a quarter of that for that or whatever it may be,
Sure.
So it's just a time-saving thing. It's not anything having to do with monetary value as far as, what we're looking to do. We're there to help you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would imagine most people have no clue where most people probably have no clue. They may have 10,000 and it's only 5,000 in their head. Who knows? But definitely share those budgets with
that is super helpful.
your people. Yeah, it's super helpful. So, also worth mentioning, commercial. You do commercial stuff?
We also do commercial. Now we don't get into a lot of commercial, but just your general like restaurants that speaking of here, just in Livingston Parish, we've done both Duke's restaurants.
Yes.
So you can go in there and see our products that have been in there since they opened those businesses.
There you go.
And those get a lot of use.
Yeah, they get a lot of use. Absolutely.
And they still look good.
Yes.
So that's just in a commercial setting. So, yes, we do commercial, some, I would say, light commercial.
Yeah.
Not the apartment complexes and things like that. We try not to get too involved in that, but not to say we couldn't.
Yeah.
But light commercial, but most of our business over the last 26 years has been predominantly residential.
Very good. Very good. So if you have a restaurant, you're thinking of opening a restaurant, you want to reach out, they'll definitely be glad to help you out with that. And so don't feel like you just have to own a home and you can't. If you're a commercial establishment and you're in need of their services, I'm sure they can walk you through whatever.
Absolutely.
I also want to mention that Brandon mentioned his website earlier. I'm going to link that to the description of this video. So if you're driving and you're listening or you're even watching, but you can't write it down anywhere, no worries. We're going to put that in the description of the video and the audio versions. And that way, when you get to wherever you're going, you can click on it, see more of the beautiful things that they do at K to Z window coverings. And we do something on this show, Brandon. We do fun facts. And this is a way that people can just kind of learn about you outside of your business. And I came up with some for you. And the first thing I asked you was your dream job when you were 12 years old.
Well,
tell everybody about that.
To go that far back, that's a few years.
Yeah, I know the feeling there too.
So at that time, I could remember that was whenever I'd been fishing my whole life with my dad, and that's about the time that he brought me into the tournament fishing world.
Yeah.
So I was probably one of the youngest guys that started fishing up against guys' ages that were my dad's age.
Yeah.
And then right after that, they started having a youth division and a ladies division and so on and so forth. So at that point, I probably, all the way up till I was 18, 19 years old, I probably wanted to be a professional bass fisherman.
There you go. There you go. Look, here in South Louisiana, I bet there's a lot of y'all out there that wanted to be professional bass fishermen. There's no doubt about it. I also asked you if you could have any superpower. What would it be?
Man, I would love to have have the ability to see into the future.
That would be, that would be a great one. And I always think back there, for those of you that are my age or around it, there was a show called Back to the Future back in the day. And Marty McFly had a almanac of the World Series championships, and then he would go gamble on them. And I'm like, man, that would be awesome. Yeah, he already knew who won. So I can dig that. Something I would definitely want to be able to do. And if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you travel?
I think that it would be really, really cool to go. We're looking at the Mediterranean, Greece, and then my wife, some part of her heritage is Sicilian Italian. So we would love to be able to go to Italy and all up and down that area would be a nice place to go.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that. Now, one more thing before we get out of here that I want to mention is your service area for those that may be curious. You're going to service Livingston Parish. You do a lot in Hammond area, North Shore. Those are kind of your mains, but you'll go as far as Texas if somebody's got a mansion up there and they want to put some drapes up, right?
Well, it's just one of our local builders out here.
Yeah.
and one of our local production builders. We actually work with them from right on the other side of in Orange, Texas, I believe.
Yeah.
So from there, and then we also go all the way to Slidell. So basically we go from Texas to Mississippi along the 10-12 corridor. Our main area is here in Greater Baton Rouge.
Yep.
And then it's 30 minutes, 45 minutes up the road to go to the North Shore, and then an hour east, or that'd be west to go to Lafayette, Lake Charles, that area. So we have a huge service area, and then beyond that, it's kind of a per job basis. So if you call me from Shreveport or Texas or wherever, whether as long as it's within a reasonable driving distance, and you have something with a large enough job, then obviously we will go help you. We've done that for people, our clients here, who have second homes.
Yes.
So we can go down to Orange Beach or Destin, Florida, or, wherever they might have a second home, and we can help them with that as well.
There you go. Very good. Brandon Barton, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks,
it's been
Jim,
fun.
man.
Believe it or not, we've been going 58 minutes.
Wow.
And just been fun. Again, I'm going to link all of K to Z Window Coverings media in the description of this video, and I appreciate you coming on, sir.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir. And for all of you out there, I want to thank you for listening to Local Leaders Podcast, watching it on YouTube. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Please, if you're enjoying the show, leave a review, as we talked about on this show. And that sure helps people to find us. And look, that is more exposure for all of our family and businesses in this area. So until next time, I'm Jim Chapman, reminding you to love your community, support local business just like K to Z Window Coverings, and keep leading. Thank you very much.
Are you struggling to lose weight and keep it off? Tired of wasting time and money on starvation diets that lead to more frustration and stress? If there was a weight loss solution that could actually work for you, would you try it? Then head to Golo.com.
I'm Steve. I lost 138 pounds in 9 months on Golo.
I'm Amber. I've lost 128 pounds with Golo.
If you're ready to take back control of your life, head to Golo.com now and see how Golo can work for you. That's Golo.com.
My sleep is way better. My inflammation has gone way down. Golo saved my life. I was way overweight. That's what sent me down the path. I wanted to make sure and live for my kid.
I have literally tried everything. I was on the verge of getting gastric bypass surgery, and I saw the Golo commercial, and it was the last thing I tried because it worked.
Join over 2 million people who found a better way to lose weight with Golo. Your healthier and happier life begins at Golo.com. That's Golo.com. Again, Golo.com.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.